Hello everyone, and welcome back to Sovereign Thinking. My name is Michael, and today we will be reading part 5 of the Rich Dad, Poor Dad series by Robert Kiyosaki. We pretty much start right off the heels of the lessons that Mike's dad wants to bestow upon Robert and Mike, and by that I mean we dive deeper into how emotions factor into our relationship with money. Before we begin, please note that this video is not offering financial advice. Rather, we are reading Robert Kiyosaki's work for entertainment purposes only, where I provide commentary with my own personal thoughts, reviewing what we have read. Let's begin. You see, we're all employees ultimately. We just work at different levels, said Rich Dad. I just want you boys to have a choice to avoid the trap caused by those two emotions, fear and desire. Use them in your favor, not against you. That's what I want to teach you. I'm not interested in just teaching you to make a pile of money. That won't handle the fear or desire. If you don't first handle fear and desire, and you get rich, you'll only be a highly paid slave. So how do we avoid the trap, I asked. The main cause of poverty or financial struggle is fear and ignorance, not the economy or the government or the rich. It's self-inflicted fear and ignorance that keep people trapped. So you boys go to school and get your college degrees, and I'll teach you how to stay out of the trap. The pieces of the puzzle were appearing. My highly educated dad had a great education and a great career, but school never told him how to handle money or his fear of it. It became clear that I could learn different and important things from two fathers. By not giving in to your emotions, you were able to delay your reactions and think. That is important. We will always have emotions of fear and greed. From here on in, it's imperative for you to use those emotions to your advantage and for the long term to not let your emotions control your thinking. Most people use fear and greed against themselves. That's the start of ignorance. Most people live their lives chasing paychecks, pay raises, and job security because of the emotions of fear and desire, not really questioning where those emotion-driven thoughts are leading them. It's just like the picture of a donkey dragging a cart with its owner dangling a carrot just in front of its nose. The donkey's owner may be going where he wants, but the donkey is chasing an illusion. Tomorrow there will only be another carrot for the donkey. You mean the moment I picture a new baseball glove, candy, and toys, that's like a carrot to a donkey, Mike asked? Yes, and as you get older, your toys get more expensive. A new car, a boat, and a big house to impress your friends, said Rich Dad with a smile. Fear pushes you out the door, and desire calls to you. That's the trap. What I like about what Mike's dad advises on fear, greed, and ignorance is that he suggests to work with those emotions instead of against them, except for ignorance, I guess. What I mean by that is that I interpret that Mike's dad is merely mentioning that these emotions will always exist and will never go away. Let's continue. What intensifies fear and desire is ignorance. That is why rich people with lots of money often have more fear the richer they get. Money is the carrot, the illusion. If the donkey could see the whole picture, it might rethink its choice to chase the carrot. Rich Dad went on to explain that a human's life is a struggle between ignorance and illumination. He explained that once a person stops searching for information and self-knowledge, that ignorance sets in. That struggle is a moment-to-moment decision to learn to open or close one's mind. Look, school is very important. You go to school to learn a skill or profession to become a contributing member of society. Every culture needs teachers, doctors, mechanics, artists, cooks, business people, police officers, firefighters, and soldiers, and so many more. Schools train them so society can thrive and flourish, said Rich Dad. Unfortunately, for many people, school is the end, not the beginning. There was a long silence. Rich Dad was smiling. I didn't comprehend everything he said that day, but as with most great teachers, his words continued to teach for years. As I mentioned before, education and schooling is also a big theme in this book. If we apply this part of the passage to today's school systems, essentially not much has changed, except I would argue against the part about people not going back to learn after they finish school. My argument here would just simply be that a lot of young adults have had to retrain and upskill themselves to position them for the job markets that are actually available. It does keep the individual in the same system. It's just that now they do it twice or more if they selected degrees and trainings that didn't have jobs at the end of them. By the time these individuals finish likely their next degree, they're done with the learning and have to actually go out and make money to pay off their school loans. In my opinion, the trap is still the same. It's just less intuitive now than it was back then. Well, let's continue reading. "I've been a little cruel today," said Rich Dad, "but I want you to always remember this talk. I want you to always think of Mrs. Martin, and I want you to always remember that donkey. Never forget that fear and desire can lead you into life's biggest trap if you are not aware of them, controlling your thinking. To spend your life living in fear, never exploring your dreams, is cruel. To work hard for money, thinking that it will buy you things that will make you happy, is also cruel. To wake up in the middle of the night terrified about paying bills is a horrible way to live. To live a life dictated by the size of a paycheck is not really living a life. Thinking that a job makes you secure is lying to yourself. That's cruel. And that's the trap I want you to avoid. I've seen how money runs people's lives. Don't let that happen to you. Don't let money run your life." A softball rolled under our table. Rich Dad picked it up and threw it back. "So what does ignorance have to do with greed and fear?" I asked. "Because it is ignorance about money that causes so much greed and fear," said Rich Dad. "Let me give you some examples. A doctor wanting more money to better provide for his family raises his fees. By raising his fees, it makes healthcare more expensive for everyone. It hurts the poor people the most, so they have worse health than those with money. Because the doctors raise their fees, the attorneys raise their fees. Because the attorneys' fees have gone up, school teachers want a raise, which raises our taxes, and on and on and on. Soon there will be such a horrifying gap between the rich and the poor that chaos will break out and another great civilization will collapse. History proves that great civilizations collapse when the gap between the haves and the have-nots is too great. Sadly, America is on that same course because we haven't learned from history. We only memorized historical dates and names, not the lessons." "Aren't prices supposed to go up?" I asked. "In an educated society with a well-run government, prices should actually come down. Of course, that is often only true in theory. Prices go up because of greed and fear caused by ignorance. If schools taught people about money, there would be more money and lower prices. But schools focus only on teaching people to work for money, not how to harness money's power." There is a lot to wrap our heads around in this last passage because Mike's dad pretty much narrates what's going on in today's world, back in the 50s when the story takes place. As we know now, I would say that nearly every global and local problem in society has some sort of a root in government systems and politics. But I encourage you to do your own research into this, and you can start by comparing prices of your groceries for the last 5 years. I will be ending the reading here as I feel that Mike's dad related a lot of the big picture aspects to one's personal life well enough, and it actually can give us a lot to think about. In the next section, Mike's dad explains the idea behind what hard work is for the rich and for those who work for money, and we also kind of see his lessons come to life in a very positive way. I have also listed the Rich Dad Poor Dad book in the description box below if you wanted to pick up a copy for yourself. As always, please just take what vibes with you, leave what doesn't, and just take it one day at a time. Thank you again for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful day.